Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Welcome back to Dearly Departed, and we're back with our Game Week 5 preview. Remember, if you're here for the first time, Dearly Departed covers the teams that I used to cover in the Championship, but very cleverly managed to get out. So we still have Sheffield United and Aston Villa, who went up in 18-19, and Leeds, West Brom and Fulham for last season. Before we get into the previews for this week's game, quick plug to say thank you to Jay Coyle, who is a fan sponsor of this show. Jay says, Dearly Departed, also known as Ben, couldn't bear to lose us, marching on together. Thank you so much to Jay for being a fan sponsor. If you're interested in doing the same on any of my shows or run a small business, wait for the end and I'll give you all the necessary contact details. Here's where we are with our Dearly Departed over the first weeks of the season. We'll go from top to bottom. So if you are an Aston Villa fan, well, you're probably ecstatic. 3 wins out of 3, second in the league, game in hand on everybody else up the top there, and you've just beaten Liverpool 7-2. Brilliant. If you're a Leeds fan, you're a little bit further down in 8th, but a very encouraging start, and you've already played Liverpool and Manchester City. So good stuff for Leeds. Sadly, not quite so good for our remaining 3, because we're going to go all the way down to 17th, where we see West Bromwich Albion, who have just that one draw, and they were 3-0 up against Chelsea, weren't they? And got pegged back to draw that one. And then the bottom 2, who are going to be in, well, spoiler alert, a Dearly Departed derby. 19th place Sheffield United and 20th place Fulham make up the rest of our Dearly Departed, the bottom 2, but one of them is scoring points this weekend, and you will realise why in just a jiffy. Slightly different narratives with the 2. Quickly worth mentioning as well, I am filming this on Thursday at 4:35. We'll probably start getting stuff up ready for sort of tomorrow morning. It's transfer deadline as well, so I'm hearing all kinds of rumours. We'll try and give that a bit of a wide berth, but in the sort of 12, 18 hours it might take me to get everything up from this video once it's all clipped. Some deals might already have been done between our Dearly Departed and some Championship sides. Big links with maybe Michael Hector going out to the Championship, maybe Charlie Austin going out, maybe Carlin Grant coming in. Who knows? Todd Cantwell at Leeds. There are deals left to be done, let's just say. Here's this weekend's fixtures. So we will scroll down. The top 4 fixtures there are not relevant to us, but what is very relevant to us is on Sunday the 18th. We have to wait till Sunday for a Dearly Departed game this week. At midday is Sheffield United versus Fulham. Big fixture. We'll look at it in detail, but a really important game for both teams. Sadly, I'll be working in Marlow at 2 o'clock. So I'll probably get to see some of the game if I get to work early before I start, but I won't be able to do a watch along. I do apologise anyone who was looking forward to that. Speaking of looking forward to, though, later that evening is Leicester City versus our second place, Aston Villa. And then it is West Brom at 5:30 on the Monday, playing against Burnley. Maybe we could have a look at that. Rubs chin. And then Leeds versus Wolves. That's actually a Dearly Departed double on the Monday night. Let me know if the comments, if you want to see 1 or 2 watch-alongs maybe for those on the Monday night, given that I'm going to be missing Fulham, Sheffield United as a watch-along. Right. First up then, Leicester versus Aston Villa, which, as I said, is such weird kickoff times at the moment, isn't they? 7:15 on Sunday night. I will be online at that point doing the Championship review show, so maybe pop in and keep me updated on that game. I won't get to watch it in real time. There's the story of the season so far for Villa. 1-0 win over Sheffield United. Obviously, you can see that red card mark on there against John Egan. Then a 3-0 win at Fulham, which we did a watch-along on. Again, a little asterisk against that. Fulham defended so badly and they were cooked after about 15 minutes of that one, weren't they? Goodness me, already 2-0 down. But then ridiculously, if we wanted proof of Villa being sustainable, we thought, well, a win against Liverpool would give us that. But it was a 7-2 victory, which we've covered on the channel. So really, am I still any of the wiser on Villa? We had a couple of... I just want a straightforward win without anything. I mean, 7-2 obviously is unbelievable, but is it sustainable? Like, ever going to win 7-2 again? And Liverpool going to lose 7-2 again? Interesting. Very, very interesting. But a brilliant start by Villa. Leicester had an equally good start, actually. 3 wins from 3, but really turned over there at home to West Ham in a game where I looked up the stats and Leicester had a ton of possession and West Ham had just taken them to the cleaners on chance creation and finishing, which is the name of the game really in football, isn't it? So, maybe flattering to deceive a little bit in that game. This was the team that started the magnificent 7-2 win for Villa, and it's starting to look nice and staid and nice and solid. It's a little tweak, isn't it, to accommodate Ross Barkley, but let's work out from the back. Martinez has obviously had a great winning start as Villa keeper. So is Cash. Konza and Mings look decent together at the back. Mings coming on for England the other night, and Target in there at left back. We were looking more at Douglas Luiz as a lone holding midfielder, but John McGinn can join him, which frees up the exciting arrival of number 20 there, Ross Barkley. Grealish is Grealish. We don't need to talk about him, do we? Trezeguet there on the front right. I am being very enthusiastically told about Bertrand Traore, who may be in a battle for that position there. And obviously Ollie Watkins off the mark there with a hat-trick. So if I'm Dean Smith and I've just beaten Liverpool 7-2 and I don't have any injury problems, I'm going to be playing very much an unchanged side and hoping it goes similarly. As I say, keep an eye on the right-hand side. Be interested in Villa fans' thoughts on Trezeguet. I've just found he's not contributed. Look, obviously, he's playing in a winning team, but not quite contributed in the way that others like McGinn and Grealish and Watkins already have managed to. And Douglas Luiz, who's actually very good in that sweepy, uppy, holding midfield play, stopping attacks. And frankly, as we know, a very good tactic, get the ball to Grealish, get him one-on-one. But now, if he's getting help from his mate Ross Barkley there, could be interesting for Villa. I'm quite high on this and don't suspect there'll be many changes in that team. This is what Leicester did last time out. Quite sort of star-studded team now. Very, a lot of staid Premier League names and European players, people like Tielemans and Castagna we saw playing for Belgium the other night, didn't we? Vardy is now, I guess, a Premier League great, isn't he, after all the goals he scored and winning that title. So, yes, it depends, doesn't it? If I just scroll back a couple of slides, are we going to get the Leicester that took West Brom to the cleaners, scored 4 past Burnley and then 5 past Man City? Or are we going to get the Leicester that lost 3 at home to West Ham? It's going to be a tricky one. I suspect if you're a Villa fan, you're on cloud 9. You're expecting the winning run to continue. It's not going to continue forever. There have been... I genuinely can't put my finger on any of those 3 wins so far and say, right, great, sustainable, which is what I've been looking for with Leeds, and I think I've finally got with the win at Sheffield United there. We haven't had that for Villa yet. Just a red card win, a win where the opponents... defended terribly in Fulham, and then just this mad, incredible performance against Liverpool. So I'm looking for something boring from Villa, basically, and a nice, solid win where they create a few good chances, don't concede any, and everybody plays well. Wouldn't that be lovely? Black and white, literal thinkers like me love stuff like that. So, it's going to be tricky, isn't it, for Villa? But we thought that about Liverpool, and frankly, they cruised in. So. Let's see, and maybe I predict that Villa might be able to get a point out of this, but it's by no means going to easily be the 4th straight victory. Good luck to Villa flying the flag. We're in the top 2 for the dearly departed. Probably won't ever get any better than that, so enjoy it while it lasts in terms of the dearly departed. Obviously, not in terms of if you're a Villa fan. You probably just saw that. Leeds are playing Wolves. They are in, 8th place or 9th place? I think it's 8th, wasn't it? Leeds playing Wolves on Monday night at 8 p.m. Again, as I said, if you're interested in a watch-along, we've got West Brom and we've got Leeds on Monday night. We could do a long old shift then, couldn't we? We'll see. We'll see what pans out and what the response to that is. And this is exactly the game I want for Leeds. And this is exactly the game I want Leeds to do well in, basically. I will admit my inherent bias towards the dearly departed teams. I've been looking for sustainability and viability and information that I can absorb that will help me say, yes, they're definitely going to have a good season. I didn't get it against Liverpool, despite the fact they were close and they lost 4-3. I didn't get it against Fulham, despite the fact that they won 4-3 and they've scored 7 goals from the first 2 games. I think I got it in the remaining 2 games where they beat Sheffield United in a tight game and they played very well against Manchester City. Probably should have won if you look at the numbers and the highlights. Probably could have got the victory there against Manchester City. So a lot of good signs for Leeds. And I've said now for a few weeks, let's see them go, because all we've had so far is Liverpool and Man City, who frankly, over the evidence of the last 3 seasons, have been better than everybody else. Sheffield United and Fulham, who have both been in the Championship in that same period. So it's been mixed what they've been playing. This is the one, isn't it, where they play against Wolves, who are not expected to be in the top 4, but are expected to be competitive in most games that they play. So this is a very, very good yardstick in the Premier League of a team that is expected to be nowhere near the bottom, isn't expected to be with the elites, but is expected to be competitive. And if you said to Leeds fans, that would be where they would fall. Not expected at the top, not expected at the bottom, but competitive. I'm sure Leeds fans would be very, very happy with that. So I'm looking forward to this as a revealing yardstick. We've already gone through what Leeds have done this season in quite some detail here in this video so far. Wolves, well, mixed. They've beaten Sheffield United and they've beaten Fulham, which are the bottom 2. And then they've lost heavily to West Ham and to Manchester City there. So, yeah. I mean, if you compare Wolves' run and Leeds' run, Leeds have been fairly consistent against everybody, whereas Wolves, you say, who have they beaten yet? They've only beaten the bottom 2. Okay, they are our dearly departed bottom 2, Sheffield United and Fulham. But they haven't done well in what you would call the hard games if you're using the league table as the yardstick at the moment. So that would be something to hold on to for Leeds fans. And again, if Leeds are going to go into a bracket more similar to Wolves than, to where West Brom, Fulham and Sheffield United are, I'm sure the fan base will be very, very happy. This was what played against Manchester City. Now, obviously, Jack Harrison didn't play because he is on loan from Manchester City. For anyone who gave me stick for forgetting that, I'm covering 30 teams this season. 24 in the Championship, Ipswich in League One and 5 up here. So forgive me if I make one factual error per week. I'm doing all right. There's probably more than there, isn't there? Otherwise, it'll be fairly staid, won't it? We now have Diego Llorente. Now, I don't know in the end whether he takes Liam Cooper out of the team. Liam Cooper obviously was the captain last year. Actually, he still is the captain. I'm not seeing a little C next to his name there, so that's pretty unhelpful. But he's been brought into the club there, and, I don't know if he's there to make up the numbers. I'm sure he's not. Ayling and Dallas seem to be, they'll be there until Armageddon, I think, won't they? Phillips, the same. He's been playing for England. Just in that central midfield now, Click obviously is a shoe-in. Probably so are Harrison and Costa. You just wonder now, and I must admit, I don't know the state of play on Hernandez when he is going to be ready. Also, Rodrigo's been quite impressive so far, whether he can come in and make a start. And Leeds have now signed Rafinha as well. And will they bring anyone in from the Championship? There's still Ben Rama there. There's still Buendia there. There's still Cantwell there. I'm sure Leeds fans would like any one of those 3. And Pat Bamford will obviously play up front because this is Bielsa and this is Leeds. So we kind of know what to expect from Leeds. From Wolves, this is what they came up with last time. Some really good names in there. Patricio, Cody played for England last night, didn't he? Kilman, Bolly across the back, Saiz and Semedo wide, Dendonka, Neves and Neto, Podence and Jimenez. Obviously on the bench, look there, João Moutinho and Adama Traore. Fabio Silva is coming for a load of money as well. So look, loads and loads of threat. Like I say, this is the big yardstick for Leeds, isn't it? And if they play in this game, and the pattern of play is as good as we expect it to, and the numbers back it up again, and they have decent amounts of ball, create more chances than they concede, we're really going to have to start looking at this and thinking, is this possibly a top half team we're now looking at? What we don't want is for the pattern of play to be as expected and Leeds to get dominated. Look, we know there's going to be a big defeat somewhere along the line. It's got to happen. Happens to everyone, doesn't it? And I suppose it's the reaction. But I'm not seeing any signs yet from Leeds of them being anything other than competitive in this division. And this is a good yardstick. Perhaps, if you did everything based on league tables, they'd be happy with a draw. However, if you outline it the way I have, across those first 4 games, Leeds being competitive against Liverpool and Man City, and to the contrary, Wolves, well, they lost to West Ham and Manchester City and only have had wins over the bottom 2, then maybe you can make a case for a Leeds win. Let me know what you think in the comments. Exciting times if they do get the win, though. It's going to start to look like it could be a very competitive season for our friends over at Leeds. West Brom versus Burnley. All I can say is, come on, the West Brom. So this is the other Monday night game. Is this a chance for West Brom to get off the mark and get a win? They're at home. They're against Burnley. Now, this is either where the Premier League gives you a gift or just smacks you round the head and says, look, you think Burnley's an easy game? You think Burnley's a soft touch? You have this scenario where Burnley turn up and win easily and it's like, oh, we were at home to Burnley. We thought there was at least a chance there, with Burnley's reputation as being solid Premier League team without being spectacular, but, not a big name in Premier League terms and possibly one that Bilic might target. Is it an easy game? Is it a hard game? We'll find out when we get the result. But what we don't want for our dearly departed friends here is a hiding from Burnley, because that's not going to play well, is it? Burnley have lost all their games so far. They've lost to Newcastle, they've lost to Southampton, and they've lost to Leicester. Remember, that is not Manchester City, Liverpool and Chelsea they've lost to. When you look at West Brom, they've played Leicester, Everton, Chelsea as well. Both teams have lost games against Southampton and Leicester, though, which is revealing, which sort of suggests both teams may be down in that bottom 6, bottom 8 this season. I think possibly that Newcastle defeat might be the most revealing there and might be the one that West Brom fans would cling onto in terms of getting that first win. I had a good chat, I think it was with Hamza, who's a West Brom fan who subscribes to the channel. It was about the system and the pattern of play there. 4-2-3-1 last game. West Brom have gone with a 3 at the back, and I was sort of saying I was pleased to see the 4-2-3-1 back. And Hamza actually disagreed with me and said, no, I prefer the stability of the 3-5-2. And the 4-2-3-1 towards the end of last season was starting to get a bit limp and a bit staid, and people were able to figure out that if they did manage to stop the row of 3 off the front, if it was Pereira, Diangana, Phillips, Kravinovic, Krasitsky, whoever was there playing, that they could stop West Brom, frankly. So we'll see whether he goes back to the 3 or not. We'll also see whether they can do a deal for Carlin Grant and whether Charlie Austin's gone out by then. So not sure what Bilic is going to do, whether he goes back to the 3 or whether he sticks with the 4-2-3-1, especially if there's new names in there. Possibly, looking at that, if you did fly in a Carlin Grant, he can either go in Carl Edwards' position or Callum Robinson can go there and Grant can go up front. Be very interested to see what solution he is going to come up with There is your Burnley team there. A couple of England representatives there in, I suppose, Pope and Tarkowski over the past couple of seasons. Taylor, Long, Bardsley, Brownhill, Westwood, Stevens, McNeil, Wood and Barnes. A lot of familiar Championship players there. Obviously, if you have an off day, Burnley will beat you probably 10 times out of 10 because they will make situations where if you're not switched on, they will score. Will they play you off the park with slick passing? No. Will they be a threat? Yes. So it'll be a good yardstick again. Like I said, with Leeds and Wolves, a good yardstick of how West Brom are going to go. I would think West Brom fans, a win would give them a fair bit of belief that they can be competitive in this division. However, a defeat and a handy defeat, and you're starting to think, right, who are we actually going to beat this season from a West Brom point of view? Which profile of team can we win against? So good luck to West Brom. And I think this is possibly the best chance of a win, given the Southampton game was away and given Burnley's rocky start. So I've got my fingers crossed for them. Let's go for a West Brom win in this one. I'm getting very biased here, aren't I, on Dearly Departed? It's because I'm not doing every team. I can start to get behind these teams. I normally say leave your bias at the door, but hey, what are you going to do? Sheffield United versus Fulham is the bottom of the table Dearly Departed derby. The good news is someone leaves with some points because both teams have 0 points so far. We've been through the tale of woe for both, haven't we, through the season? Fulham handily beaten their opening day against Arsenal, then 4-3 against Leeds, then heavily at home to Villa, and, well, probably the most competitive at Wolves last time out, but still a 1-0 defeat, still didn't score. I guess Parker's going to push the positivity, but it's not going well so far for Fulham. I think we'll see a few more ins and outs. There's rumours of Hector and QPR and Knockout. Obviously now with Houghton at Nottingham Forest. Don't know if anyone's going to come in. Obviously Ruben Loftus-Cheek has come in now, so we expect him to debut. And Ademola Lookman, who looked pretty good on his debut there at Brentford, just pepped them up a little bit there. So I still think it's going to be a fair few game weeks before Parker settles on his decided Premier League team, and then the excuses go about being competitive. He's got to settle on one of them, hasn't he? In terms of Sheffield United, we can make a lot of excuses for Sheffield United. Caught cold against Wolves, let's write that one off. But against Sheffield United, obviously the red card, 11 minutes, big mitigating factor there. Against Leeds, that was a tight game. Everyone will admit, I did the watch along on that. Could have gone either way. And then the one against Arsenal where there's possibly a red card decision again going against them. Very sort of similar type of issue with a shirt pull by David Luiz on Oliver Burke. So, yeah, if I'm a Fulham fan, I've not got much sign and I want to see improvement that hasn't been there. Whereas if I'm a Sheffield United fan, I'm like, well, maybe if a couple of things had gone for us rather than against us, we'd have a couple of points. I'm not saying they'd have 5 points or 7 points, but they might have certainly not that 0 total that they've got. That is what Sheffield United lined up with against Arsenal. We obviously have now Rhian Brewster in there, so it'd be interesting to see if he comes straight in. Big money signing, but so is Ollie McBurney, who's on the bench there. Still curious as to why no Fleck and why no Norwood, and how badly are they missing Jack O'Connell at the back there. So I think maybe, I'm sure there's calls. I haven't really checked in on Twitter with the Blades Twitter sphere, but you know, they've had so much success with Fleck and Norwood and Sharp and McBurney. Maybe there'll be a call for one of those to come in. Let's see. For Fulham, well, I mentioned Loftus-Cheek, wherever you're likely to drop him in, but I'm sure he does get dropped in there, and they're still trying to look at that. Robinson, Lamarchand, Reeve, Aina has been Adoy, Hector, and Brian. Obviously, Brian's playing a bit further forward there. Maybe that's the idea, just play 2 fullbacks. That sorts you out. But yeah, Parker's really searching for the the solution here. And it's going to end up looking very different than it did last season, where you could have people like Areola, people like Lookman, Loftus-Cheek, who weren't there last season, who are going to end this season. So, yeah, it does play into that narrative we had that Fulham kind of clawed their way up last season without necessarily having a finished team that was going to be, put out every week. This season, where's the game, Ben? Where's the game? The game is at Bramall Lane. So I'm afraid, Fulham fans, I've got to have Sheffield United slight favourites. And with that Brewster edition, can he pep them up a little bit for the win? Either way, someone's getting some points this week. We didn't have, we thought we wouldn't have that many last week, but we got 3 from Villa over Liverpool and then the draw against Man City. So a decent week when you consider the opponents last week. But hey, they could draw, but we should expect a 3-pointer for someone in this game. Fingers crossed. Again, like I say, there's the table. So Villa really could be at it if they can get a win. Bearing in mind, Everton are playing Liverpool and Villa themselves are playing Leicester. So they can very much affect some direct rivals there. Someone's going to be dropping points there. Bearing in mind 2 top 5 fixtures there. Only could be a good weekend for Arsenal, with that being said, couldn't it? Leeds, look, they're 5 above Wolves, so they want to start to press home that advantage. West Brom, side by side there with their opponents, Burnley, so there we want to put a marker down. And Sheffield United side by side with Fulham. Some really good tight fixtures with this early table you can see there. That would be my my view on this coming weekend of Dearly Departed fixtures. As you probably just saw as I put the slide up too early, we did the Dearly Departed challenge. And there was my response to it. And I challenge you, go and look elsewhere on the last Dearly Departed video. The challenge was, make your best Dearly Departed 11, but you can only have 2 outfield players per team. So you can't have any more than 2 players from any one team. That was what I came up with there. Martinez in goal, Furlong, Cock, O'Connell and Stevens across the back. Remember, you can only have 2 players from any one team. Phillips and Loftus-Cheek sitting. Pereira, Barkley and Grealish off Mitrovic there. So that was my solution, my Dearly Departed 11. Go and have a go. See what you come up with there. As I said in the video, joining in is encouraged. Not joining in and having a pop at other people's teams is discouraged, as always is the case on the channel. Couple of plugs there before we finish then. Interact here, like, comment, subscribe on this video. Join in the Fantasy League, that's a lot of fun there. T5QBR0, however stressed it makes me. And you can get these shows on the podcast if I ever get my backside into gear and get the upload schedule sorted there. We're doing great for subscribers here. I'm doing better than ever for income. It's still not quite enough, and we're working towards it though through this season, hopefully becoming viable, but I need a little bit of help, and you can do that via amazon.uk.co.uk/shop/the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel, and over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom, $3 tier, $5 tier, and then we go into sponsorship land there where you can be a fan sponsor or you can sponsor as a business. Speaking of fan sponsors, thank you again to Jay Coyle, who sponsors all of our Dearly Departed shows here. Dearly Departed, also known as Ben Couldn't Bear to Lose Us, marching on together. Thank you, Jay. Thank you to each and every one of you for watching. Give me your feedback in the comments and let me know if you want to see a watch along in either of the West Brom or Leeds Wolves games on Monday. That could be a little bit of fun, couldn't it? Little tweak of the schedule, but obviously I'm going to be missing that Sheffield United Fulham game because I'm working, so maybe we could look at that. Right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Next Dearly Departed video, if we don't do a watch-along, will be on Tuesday, where we'll review all of the fixtures. So check that out. Been using a bit of a different process recently, where I filmed the whole thing, then we put smaller clips up, and then we put the whole thing out in a little sequence, which is good for my levels of tiredness, because it means I film one load of stuff and then I can put it up during the day. So hopefully you like that. And if you don't want to watch the whole thing, you can focus in maybe on your team. But what I am really enjoying is people getting into the spirit here. Villa fans commenting on West Brom fans commenting on Leeds commenting on Fulham. Get involved. As I've said many times on the channel here, leave your bias at the door. And it is my ambition that maybe we can get football fans to comment on other teams and maybe not. Obviously, the bias will always be there. That's how we are with our teams, and me with Ipswich as well. But it'd be great if we can comment and know about other teams as well, rather than just our own. I think that would be brilliant. With that being said, I've done 30 minutes. I'm into ramble mode, full on ramble mode. So I'll bid you all farewell. Say hello in the comments and keep up. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you all very soon. Over and out.